Hey guys, this is Mike from Sons of Liberty Gunworks. I want to talk to you a little bit about the A5 system, or the intermediate buffer system. For folks not familiar with what I'm talking about, this is the A5 or intermediate receiver extension. This is a traditional carbine receiver extension. As you can see, the A5 or intermediate system is a little bit longer. The same is true for the buffers. This is your more traditional carbine buffer for that. Then you have your intermediate or A5 buffer. You can see that is also a little bit longer. And again, it translates to the spring, right? This is kind of a big deal for the system, right? There's a carbine spring. The A5 system uses a rifle spring. The benefit of the A5 system is it makes the rifle overall just less sensitive to input. And by input, I mean any suppressor type you throw on there, different ammo conditions, weapon operating under adversity, fouling, whatever, you're gonna get more mass. Now, we can put more mass into an A5 or intermediate buffer than you can a carbine because it's longer, and instead of 3 individual weights, now you have 4. On a fighting rifle, mass is your friend. Even now, some of the most advanced rifles being built, they're adding mass back to the system, probably in the form of weighted carriers and things like that. But if you want to take a legacy system or your existing rifle and add mass in the same linear plane, so you still have the same kind of added reciprocating mass, and do that with backwards compatibility, the A5 system is how to do that. If you were to take the entire cycle of operation and boil it down to just 2 steps, 2 things to preemptively focus on, it is make a hole and fill it, right? Powerful extraction, powerful ejection. That brass must leave the chamber and it must leave the gun. That is not negotiable. The fill a hole side of that is the mass of the buffer and the power of the spring feeding the next round into the chamber, right? Make a hole and fill it. If you were to focus on those 2 things, that is fundamentally how the gun eats. Having more mass at the back end of the gun has a few effects. Number one, it's going to delay unlock. It's going to keep the system pressurized just a hair longer. That can't be achieved by spring strength alone, because when the spring is in its most decompressed state, which is when the bolt is in battery, the spring is in its most decompressed state, you're not getting the benefit of spring power. When the bolt unlocks and the carrier starts to overcome mass, the only thing helping you in that first bit of movement of the carrier is the actual mass of the buffer. That added mass is going to ultimately slow carrier speed. And what that's achieving is when that carrier speed to the rear is slowed down, it is giving the magazine all the time it needs to settle, for that follower spring to push the next round into feed and settle before the bolt starts to return home on feed. And that extra mass is going to force that feed. If there's any debris or fouling or anything in the raceway, extra mass is going to plow through that and is going to send that bolt home with authority. And again, if you're focusing on making a hole and filling it, sending that bolt home with authority is pretty important, especially when the rifle is in awkward positions, or it's unsupported, or the temperature is very, very low, or the rifle is fouled, or anything's going on with that rifle, right? You're not asking the rifle to perform in optimal conditions. If that is the goal, then some of the stuff becomes arbitrary. If you're asking the rifle to perform in less than optimal conditions, then this is the stuff to preemptively focus on. A question I get a lot is, why not just try to use super heavy carbine buffers instead of this? Part of why the A5 system works is because we can use a lot more mass without over buffering the gun, because we're distributing that mass over more wire. And your compression and decompression rate of the longer spring is part of the magic of the A5 system. And what I mean by over buffering the gun using traditional carbine systems, you're gonna need more gas to push more mass because it's distributed over less wire. Whenever you over buffer a gun, obviously the gun's an algebra problem, right? What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And so if you're having to compress more mass in a more abrupt compression decompression cycle, you're going to need more gas, and it's going to make the entire system or the entire cycle of operation more abrupt. It's not enough to just add more mass. You have to add more mass with the right compression decompression of that longer spring. The A5 solves the problem of adding more mass but not making the system necessarily more abrupt. And as part of the tech refresh for Sons of Liberty 2.0, Every rifle we make from this point forward is going to use the A5 system across the board. Before, that was always like in your LA89s and obviously the Mark I and your SPRs and stuff like that. But now even the XO3, even our patrol rifles, everything is going to be using the A5 because it is an objectively better system. It is one of the few true mechanical improvements to the carbine that I can think of in the last 20 years. Honestly, I think every AR on the planet should have an A5 system. So if you're looking for a legitimate upgrade to your rifle, whatever rifle it is, maybe you feel it's overgassed, maybe you feel the way it's performing with a certain suppressor, you can optimize that. The A5 system is a really good and easy thing to do to improve the overall function and lifespan of the parts of that rifle. And this is something that we're gonna have pretty much in stock at all times on our website. Part of our 2.0 better retail experience is that this is something you can come to anytime and it will always be available for you to grab. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel because here's where we're gonna start putting in depth to things. When we start explaining products or some of the things that we're doing and we can actually apply depth to it for people that are interested in learning more, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.